Hey, I had a request for somebody wanting to sub out one of their meals or just getting some ideas for one of their last meals of the day. So her meal called for a protein, a fat, and some vegetables. I'm just going to show a couple of my favorites of what I like to eat. I know a lot of us can eat the same foods over and over and over, but let's face it, we do get tired of it sometimes. So this was her meal number 5, and it obviously is at the end of the night. For me personally, I always have a sweet tooth in the evenings. So one of the things you can do is sub out your protein for Greek yogurt. So you would come over to your calculator, and let's just say your protein is chicken. And then we plug in our amount of chicken that we're going to have, or that is on our plan. And then we're going to look up some yogurt. What I like to do is not use all of my chicken. So let's just say we have 70 grams of chicken. I only want to use maybe 55 grams is what I'm going to plug into my calculator, because I want to save a little protein so I can add protein powder to my Greek yogurt. And I want Greek yogurt because I have a sweet tooth in the night. So let's look up yogurt, and I use the Faya fat-free, and I'm going to sub. So it tells me my 55 grams of chicken will sub for about 147 grams of the yogurt. So I'll put the yogurt in the thing. Well, I still have 15 grams of chicken to sub for. So let me see how much 15 grams subs for a protein powder. So coming back here, chicken breast, 15 grams, and now I'm going to X out. I don't want the yogurt. Now I want my True protein, because that stuff is thebomb.com, of course. And chocolate is my favorite. That's the one I always use. So I'm going to sub, and it's going to tell me that I can use about 6 grams of the protein powder. Now on top of the protein powder, I also like to put in a couple grams of the sugar-free, fat-free pudding mix. So now I've got my Greek yogurt, I've got some protein powder, and I've got the Jell-O pudding mix. Delicious combo right there. But there's also a fat. So for your fat, I would sub out whatever your fat is, whether it's nuts or avocado or cheese or whatever your fat is. Sub it for peanut butter. Add that peanut butter to that yogurt, and now you've got, I think it tastes like a chocolate peanut butter cheesecake. So that's one option if you're having a sweet tooth. I know a couple people will freeze their Greek yogurt. That I haven't tried, but sounds delicious. So, apologizing for my Sunday morning look. This is our lounge around day. So, who am I kidding? I'm running around like this like every day. No makeup, whatever. So anyway, deal with it. Sorry. Let's just say at the end of the night we don't want something sweet, or we need something with more bulk. Because if you're like me, you're constantly hungry. I'm starving basically all the time. I can eat like you would not believe. I swear to God, my stomach goes down to my feet. So one of my favorite meals, all-time favorite, and I'm going to show you 2 of my favorite meals, but one of my all-time favorite meals, you can use for your protein, you can use, chicken, shrimp, top sirloin, you could use ground turkey or something. Probably wouldn't be my favorite. But what I'm going to do is put my pot on my scale, and again, I'll go throw a bunch of steaks on the grill, cook them up, and when I do that, I do like to keep my meat a little bit kind of medium rare, I suppose, because if you cook it and it's too done and you go to reheat it, it's gonna dry out and be tough. Costco has the best chicken and the best beef. So if you have a Costco membership, get your beef there. If you don't, get a Costco membership. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna weigh out what I can have in grams for my protein. So again, if you have, say, chicken on your plan and you want to sub it for top sirloin, you're going to come to your food calculator and you're going to sub that out. Okay, so let's just pretend I've weighed this out. For this meal, I'm going to want to slice it, just little slices, okay? So it's, you know, in pieces. All right, and now my fingers are messy. I'm going to season this up. I love Asian food, Chinese food, Vietnamese food. I love that kind of stuff. So here we have some minced ginger, and you can just use a spice of ginger as well if you wish, but the minced stuff, the real stuff, packs a lot of flavor. I'm going to just use a little bit of that in my pan. I'm going to use some minced garlic, put that in the pan. We're going to pretend this is lemon, not lime. I mean, not a huge deal, whatever. Squirt in some lemon juice. I like a coconut flavor, and you have the option of subbing out your fat for an oil, a coconut oil. So you can get some coconut flavor by putting oil in. But if you feel, if your fat is a low amount of fat, you're not going to get much coconut oil. So a lot of times I'll skip the oil and I will just use extract. Extracts are an awesome way to add a lot of flavor to your foods. These Watkins brands, they come in tons of flavors and they can be found at Walmart. I use a lot of these, like especially with my breakfast foods. They have a maple flavor, caramel flavor. They're great to add to your coffees. They're great to add to if you make a protein ice cream. They're really good. So anyway, I use a little bit of coconut extract in here. It doesn't take much. Just use a quarter of a teaspoon, maybe half of a teaspoon. I'd say maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. Okay, you're just going to get a nice little nutty flavor in there. Then I'm going to season it up. So I'm going to add some pepper in there. And this is just a Creole seasoning. I know this is not like Vietnamese or Japanese or Chinese type seasoning, but it gives me a little bit of spice. So a little bit of spicy. You can use red pepper flakes, cayenne pepper, something like that. So, but I really love using this in there. So sprinkle that in there, and then some soy sauce. So that's kind of like our base and our flavors and our seasonings that we can use. So as this cooks up, you can also add in a little bit of broth. So if you're using chicken as your protein, use a chicken broth. Or if you're using beef, use a beef broth. Or you can just use a protein, or I mean a vegetable broth. And then the plan also will call for some vegetables. So this is my favorite vegetable blend, stir-fry blend. Again, Costco. So just scoop out your veggies that you can have, dump them in, and now we have a super awesome meal. So let's say that you did not use your fat for the coconut oil. You still have a fat that you get to add to this dish. So my favorite topping to this dish, let's just say your fat was an avocado, okay? You're going to plug avocado in here and your amount. Let's just say we have 50 grams of avocado. We're going to plug that in there. And I want to sub it for almonds. These things, like, I could eat these like cereal. These are awesome. Okay, well this is going to tell me that then I can have 13 grams of my almonds. So after this is all done cooking, I'm going to add it into a bowl. And by the way, I love using bowls as my dishes because when you combine all of your food in one bowl, it looks like a massive amount. But if I use one of my big plates, then I'm like, where's all my food? Because this plate needs to be full. So anyway, after that's done cooking, I'll measure out my grams of almonds and I will top my dish with the almonds. Hands down my favorite meal. I really like to use this meal with shrimp as well. So that's one recipe. My other recipe that I really, really like, and a lot of times I'll use this if I have a carb source, such as sweet potato or rice, but cutting your protein up, so let's just say I've got my steak, but I'll give you this recipe as though we're not using a carb because this particular request does not have a carb source, okay? So I will cut my steak up, or whatever meat you're choosing. I prefer this meal with a top sirloin steak. You will add in salt, pepper. I would do a small, like about half of a cup of beef broth and water because you don't want to get too much broth, just sodium content and whatnot, but add in water, but you're going to make enough to make it a soup, okay? And then there I am with that word, okay, I'm sorry, I'll try to stop that. And then you'll add in your vegetables. So it's just kind of one dish, add it into a saucepan, and boil it up. You also can use smoked paprika, one of my very favorite seasonings. It has a very nice smoky flavor, but it is not overpowering like a liquid smoke. So the smoked paprika gives it really good flavor. And then use some marjoram in there. I'll show you just a second. Sorry, I was not super prepared, of course. So there's the smoked paprika, and marjoram is just kind of an herb. So I add those in. And again, you still have a fat. So sub out whatever your fat is for some cheese. And once your soup is done and your vegetables are heated through, really it only takes a couple minutes, top it with cheese and then the cheese melts into the soup. Sounds really good. Again, I am no expert at cooking. I am not an expert at any of this. I enjoy my time in the kitchen. I've spent a lot of time in the kitchen. So if you have a request of something that you want a recipe for, or you want some things subbed out and you need a little bit of help, I am more than happy to try to help. Lean Bodies Consulting is the most fantastic program, and I think it's probably the easiest lifestyle to be able to follow as far as making changes. We wouldn't be with Lean Bodies Consulting if we didn't want to make changes. So I'm just trying to help and make this a little easier. Trying to show you that we can just eat normal and really good foods and stay on track, stay on plan, and make the changes that we want to make for ourselves. So good luck, everybody, and let me know. You can comment, or you can send me a message on Facebook as well, but just let me know if there's something that I can try to help with.